And away we go, I think. Wait a minute, I got to slow down on mine. There we are. All right, well, I'm going to start. This is the B-233 Principles of Management. Of course, I'm not authorized to view this course because it wants me to log back in because that's just how it is. Not a real problem. And I've got a couple sections of this, so we will use this video for both the sections because they all do the same thing. I will have to say that I have taught this class a lot of quarters, a lot of times, and that a lot of people say, well, why do you wait to do the video until you get to the team project? Most people, by the time they are taking this class, understand how to write an individual paper. I found very few problems with the individual paper. You know, people have specific questions on how to pick a company. We usually spend a little bit of time trying to figure out, you know, ethics and corporate social responsibility. But eventually people figure out it's just another college research paper. The team project, on the other hand, is a little bit trickier for people to grasp because it's a virtual team. So if you guys are at all like me, and I'm assuming a lot of you college students are very much like I was, you absolutely hate team projects. Christina, welcome. You just hate team projects. You always end up with someone that's a free rider on your team. It seems unfair. There's always one or two people that do the lion's share of the work. Luckily for you, I've been on those teams enough that I think we have figured out a way to keep that from being a major problem on this one. Are you still going to have people on your team who don't participate? Absolutely you are. Christina, can you hear me? Oh, and Paul's logging in. All right, well, we have a few more going. On my end, it always looks different. Let's see. Chat. Christina chats back. Yes, maybe if I open the chat box, that will help. I don't have a mic, so I'm just listening. Well, that's all right, Christina. You know, I don't have speakers, so I'm just talking. That's a joke. I do have speakers. Who else have we got here? Oh, my goodness, we're getting people like crazy now. We've got Paul, we've got Scott, Stephanie's still with us. Oh, I'm number 5, all right. Well, we'll wait to see. Scott, I see you've now probably got sound. And Paul, I can't see what's going on with Paul's yet, but I'm assuming it's getting there. So I will ask Christina and Scott. I'm assuming that, Christina, I know you found the chat box down the bottom. Scott says he can hear. I'm assuming that what you guys are seeing on your screens is pretty much the home page of one of my classes. I've got a lot of online classes I teach. This is just one of them. That happens to be one of these classes. But so, all right, we're doing good. All right. So, to pick up where I kind of left off, what I have found is that the team project really generates more questions for people than the individual project, and so I've started doing the question and answer session more around the team project. We've ended up in both sections, regardless of which section you're in of my classes, we've ended up with 4 teams. Each team probably has between 5 to 6 members. Out of that, probably at least 4 members on each team actively participated in the rough draft peer review process. So hopefully what I've tried to do is make sure that I don't have any teams that are just full of people who aren't participating. Every team is probably going to have at least one person that you haven't heard from, that you haven't been able to get hold of, that's not participating in the forum. Trust me, that's just part of my little world in this class. That happens, and inevitably I will get an email from someone about week 10 wanting to know what they can do to make up the team project, and the answer is pretty much take the class again next quarter. There is nothing in lieu of the team project. It's a virtual team. but I found it works pretty well. So let me just jump in. I guess I should, before I go any further, questions for anyone. Those of you that have mics, feel free to just talk. Those of you that prefer the chat box, that works for me too. Any questions? Anyone that's not sure where we are, what we're doing? All your names look familiar to me, so I'm assuming.
Just checking.
Yep, works good. I hear you.
Yes, I'm sorry about not getting the rough draft in. I'm still blocked a lot.
Well, oh, are you all right? Blocked by the school?
No, writer's block.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, yeah, that happens from time to time. The beauty of the rough draft is there again, as I told people, the individual project on this. Most people have figured out I'm not a real stickler on the late submission policy. You know, if it gets to be about week 10 and someone hasn't turned anything in, yeah, then I kind of look at it as maybe we should do something. But you know, other than that, on the individual project, you're not really holding anyone up. On the team project, what you're going to find is that there's basically no way to make up missed team projects. So it's a very intense schedule. It's only 5 weeks, weeks 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And keeping in mind, I'm assuming everyone in here remembers that week 11, everything ends on Friday. I know a lot of people get used to the Sunday deadlines and all the online classes, but that last week of online class, everything ends on that Friday. So for those people that are watching this on a YouTube, make yourself a little note. The last week of the project, everything will be due Friday. If you wait till Sunday, it will save me time grading it because I won't. Yeah, that's sort of humor, but it also saves me time. But most people realize that, oh my God, yes, it's due Friday. So let me just start cruising through this project, and we will kind of touch a little bit on the project, a little bit on the difference between being a team leader and being a team member. For those of you that haven't gotten it by now, but I'm thinking everyone has, but I'm thinking of the YouTube followers, I can go up here to this Lessons tab. I like this Lessons tab. I click on Lessons. And you will see on my screen that, lucky for me, I actually get all 11 weeks. You probably only have weeks 1 through 6, but down at the very bottom, everyone in this class should have this thing that says Course Materials. I click on that, and you see all of this. If you were in your own online show right now, you would see the exact same stuff that I do. Okay? There's Team Project Part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's the difference? The individual project had 6 parts. The team project only has 5. What did we take out? There's no peer review in the team project, which when you think about it makes sense. You're working as a team. You would be peer reviewing your own paper, which doesn't make a lot of sense. You're already on a team. So we've cut that out. Other than that, it kind of tracks. So what's the project about? What are we doing for a team project? The team project, and I don't know why I've never done this in the past. I've sent this to a few people. The team project, blah, 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 blah. Examine and assess. All right, you're going to examine and assess. Examine and assess what? Management practices and how they change over time. That's a pretty broad statement. What do we mean management practices? For those of you that have read ahead, what you know is management basically has 4 functions: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So essentially what you're going to do is pick a company and examine and assess how their management practices, how their planning, their organizing, their leadership, and their control has changed over time. That's why when you look at, and I'm in part 1, which is the first week of it, that's why it's very specific that you need to find a company that's been in business for at least 20 years. Okay? You need to pick someone that's been in business at least 20 years. Otherwise, you're not going to see changes over time in these 4 functions of management. Okay. I also would suggest not only do they have to have been in business for at least 20 years, but let's cut to the chase right now. Let's pick ones that are still in business. So please don't ask me if you can do Enron. Enron doesn't exist anymore. Okay? Their management practices have now changed completely to non-existent. So no, we don't want to pick Enron. Watch out for companies that have recently been acquired. That makes it tough as well. But I know some of the teams have already started looking into this. Your week 1 assignment as a team, and keep in mind that the first week of the team doesn't start until like Sunday the 19th, so you've got time on this. But your first week's assignment on that team is to find a company that's been in business for at least 20 years, that you think you're going to be able to find information on how their management practices of planning, organizing, leading, and controlling have changed over time. You know, why are they of interest to managers or managerial students? Because anytime you can show how something has changed over time, there's usually learning involved. Why do we change? We normally change because we think we found a better way to do something. Okay? So the basic gist of the paper, pick a company, been in business for 20 years or more, that you can get a lot of information on the 4 functions of management. Just like the individual project, are you probably going to want to come up with some definitions for each one of those 4 functions? Sure you are, but that'll come up in a later week. Let me stop here. First week of the project, which is week 7. Questions from anyone on that? Who have I got with me? I still got Scott. Christina says no. Okay.
Nope.
Nope. All right, that's got to be Stephanie's good.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to start a topic in my team forum for this one.
Yes, absolutely. And that's really, some of the teams have already started that. A lot of the teams that had active participation in the peer review process did pretty well on that. And I'm assuming everyone here knows how to get into their team forum. I guess I should probably have asked that. Is there anyone that still hasn't figured out how they get to their team forum?
Oh, this is Paul. Yeah, I was kind of wondering that.
How do you get to the team forum?
Yeah.
Let me show you the quickest way.
Well, I'm not picking you up on the computer here. I'm over to the Go Meeting, and all I'm getting is the Go Meeting thing.
Oh, you're not seeing my computer screen?
Nope.
Wow, that's weird, huh? I suppose I should ask. Everyone else is seeing my computer screen? See my little mouse moving around? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, Paul, then I'll try to walk you through it just verbally. When you're in your course and you're on the course page, the very first page that comes up, there's a scroll bar on the right-hand side. If you scroll up and down, below all the weekly discussion forums, you'll see discussion forum week 1, discussion forum week 2. At the very bottom, you'll see your team discussion forum.
Okay.
And you should see one that says Team 1 discussion forum.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
All right. All right. So otherwise, we're good on what the project's about. So week 1, pretty straightforward. Now, let me see who we got in here. Scott, what team are you in?
Team 1.
Team 1. There we are. All right. Team 1. So your team leader is Jack Fung, F-U-N-G?
That's correct.
Yep. All right. So this is something you absolutely, you'll want to let Jack know that you guys need to start kicking this around, looking at finding a company Let's see, Stephanie, what team are you on?
Team 2.
Team 2. And how do I pronounce your last name? Is it Ewart or Ewart?
Ewart.
Ewart. Well, I had a 50-50 chance, didn't I? Stephanie, you are the team leader. That'll be good. So we've got a team leader and a non-team leader. Christina, you are on team 3, I think. And team 3 has already begun the brainstorming for your topic. Yes, you have. Your team leader is really on top of that, and that makes a huge, huge difference. So let me touch on this before we get too much further. What's the difference between being a team leader and a team member? The team leader has just a little bit more responsibility. I should probably say it this way. When we get into the team project, there will only be one submission each week per team. So even though, for instance, Scott is on team 1, and Scott's particular team happens to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members on it, the only person on Scott's team that's going to turn in an assignment is going to be the leader of that, Jack Funk. No one else on the team other than the team leader turns in assignments. So then you've got people like Scott saying, well, how do I get a grade then if Jack's the only one that turns anything in? One of the things that the team leaders are going to be responsible for is telling me each time when they turn a paper in who fully participated, who didn't participate at all, and if they have some people that partially participated. And I will then convert that into a grade. So let's say that the first week the paper is worth 40 points. Assuming that the team turns in just one paper and it's a good paper, the team is going to have 40 points available to it. And everyone that the team leader tells me participated 100% will, of course, get all 40 points. For those people that didn't participate at all, the ones that we refer to as our drag-alongs there, if a team leader tells me they did not participate at all, they will get a 0. Just because the team gets 40 on the paper doesn't mean that everyone on the team is going to get 40 on the paper. And if a team leader tells me that, Jimmy over here was pretty good, he participated a little bit, maybe about 70% of the time, Jimmy's going to get 70% of that 40 points. And that's the only way I have found to kind of make it more equitable for those people on the team that are doing the work as opposed to those people on the team, the free riders. Under this situation, the team leader rarely, I don't know that I've ever had a time where the team leader has just given everyone points on the assignment even though they didn't participate. So it seems to work pretty well. So the team leader's primary duty is going to be, number 1, make sure they make a submission and make sure their team understands that that's the only submission. And then number 2, to tell me, who participated and who didn't. As far as the team members go, basically your job is to be an active participant on the team. All right? I know it sounds easy for me to say, but at the end of the day, you're going to find that the hardest thing about this team project is that a lot of people in online classes like to wait until Sunday to do their homework. On this team project, that is not going to work unless you want to get going a week ahead. If you wait until the Sunday at the end of the week to be involved with your team, you're going to find that your team has already moved on without you, and you will end up being given a 0 for non-participation. And this happens to me every quarter that I teach this class. I get someone that sends an email saying, well, I can only do my schoolwork on Sunday, and I end up saying the same thing. It doesn't do any good to tell me this is now a team project. You need to work that out with your team and with your team leader. This is truly a team effort. This is not an individual project. This is a team effort. You are being graded as much on how you function as a team as you are on the paper. As a matter of fact, a lot of people would tell you, I don't look at these papers nearly as closely as I look at the individual ones, because I'm also looking to see how are you functioning as a team, how coordinated do you seem to be, have you figured out one person on the team to be a proofreader, one person on the team to be your APA guru. You're going to find on every team there's one or two people that are great at research but can't write to save their souls. And on the other hand, you've got someone who's a really good writer but doesn't know APA. So you should be able to, within a team, cover all of this. I've had really good luck with this. I'm not anticipating any major problems, just kind of giving really more of a heads up. All right. Questions on the difference between team leader then and team member? Are we good on this?
I'm good.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Well, let me walk through a couple more weeks then. A couple more weeks. So this is the first week. Pick the company. Keep in mind this planning, organizing, leading, and control. That's going to be the key. Week 2 or part 2 of the project, this should be very familiar to everyone. Part 2 of the project is once again, oh look, a 6-item annotated bibliography. Didn't we do that on the individual project? Yes, we did. Did a lot of us learn what an APA style annotated bibliography is? Yes, a lot of us did. The 2 questions I get the most on this part of the project, first question, does everyone have to do a 6-item annotated bibliography?
Yeah.
Yes. Every member of the team should turn their bibliography into the team. Not to me, into the team. Then the team will take all that. So let's say you've got 5 people. They each find 6 sources. Now the team's got 30 sources. Do they have to use all 30? No, you're probably going to have some duplicates. You'll have some you like better than others. Are you limited to just 6 as a team? No, you are not. So what I often find on the team project is if every team member turns in 6 sources, the team leader, when they turn in the final assignment, frequently has in that 15 to 20 source range, depending on how many people there were on the team and how many people actually participated. So your goal in week 2 is for each person on the team to do their own research and then come together as a team to figure out what research is the best, what research is duplicated, that sort of thing. And you're going to be amazed at how well this works. You think off the top of your head that it's just going to be a bunch of duplicates, and it rarely is. Most people have their own approach to doing research, and so it works very well. Okay? Questions on the research part?
No.
No? Good. All right. Paul, you still with us?
Yep.
All right, good enough. Now, week 3 gets a little different. Week 3 gets a little different, or part 3. I got to quit calling it week 3 because it's week 7, and it's actually week 9. Part 3. If you remember, part 3 from the individual project was the interview. Part 3 of the team research project can be an interview, but it doesn't have to be. Part 3 of the team project is what we call primary data. And primary data just means that it's coming directly from the company. So yes, obviously, if you interview someone or if you find an interview of someone who works for the company, that would be primary data. But you may find a press release that that company puts out. That would be primary data. A lot of times people forget SEC filings, 10Ks, 10Qs. Those are primary data because the company is specifically generating those on their own. So it does not have to be an interview. And in fact, what you may find again on the teams is you may have 1 or 2 team members who want to go out and see if they can find an interview or do an interview. You may have another one who's an accounting major and just loves going through the SEC reports and thinks that's great. You may have another one that, loves press releases and that sort of thing. There's a lot of stuff you can do in primary data that does not have to be an interview. So this is a little bit more open than the interview on the individual project. All right? So what we've got is week 1 is pick a company, make sure that you understand this is all about planning, organizing, leading, and control. Week 2, or the next week of the project, is doing your annotated bibliographies, a whole bunch of sources. You might find within the team that you want to assign one person to just get definitions of planning and leading and organizing and control, or you might have each person find the definition, one definition and some other stuff. However the team leaders divvy it up, however the team thinks it's best. There's a lot of different ways to do this. Okay? The second week of the team project is the bibliography. The third week of the team project then is the primary data. It can be an interview, but it does not have to be an interview as long as it's primary data. After that, I don't need to click through the Lessons tab anymore because the fourth week of the project is write a rough draft, which you will turn in to me. And I hope most of you are finding that when you turn things in, I try to get them graded and back to you fairly quickly, usually within a day or two, because I realize that on things that move forward, it doesn't do you any good to turn in a rough draft and wait a week to find out if I have anything to say. By then, your final draft is due. So the fourth week of the project is your rough draft. You will turn those in Sunday. I will do my absolute best to get them graded and back to each team by Monday. Keeping in mind, you're only turning in one per team, not one per person, one per team. So it's not a lot for me to read. And then the last week, week 11 of school, the fifth week of the project, take the peer review comments, or take my comments, any other things that you guys have looked at, and basically put the finishing touches on this. Yeah, my ungraded items folder is at 0. That's just me. Compulsive obsessive possibly. At the end of the day, what you are going to find is as this team project goes, you are going to end up with one of the most phenomenal papers you have ever written in college, because you're just going to find that it truly is, 4 or 5 heads are better than one. Everyone has a forte. I will be perfectly honest with you. Every once in a while, someone asks me APA questions. I don't really know that much about APA. I ask the librarian. That's their deal. If you want to know how to pick stocks, I'm really good at picking stocks. If you want to know about accounting, I'm really good at accounting. But as far as APA goes, it's just not my thing. So we all have our fortes, and hopefully within each team, you will find that same thing, that each team member has their own forte. All right. So let me throw this out real quick, because I know that Stephanie's a team leader. Stephanie, from a team leading standpoint, any questions that you have as a team leader that you know probably someone else listening to this on an archive would want to know?
No, I think I have it pretty much down.
All right. Well, that's good. I like to hear that. I always worry when my team leader says, well, I just don't really get it. That's more of a problem. So Scott, Christine, and Paul, as team members, do you have a handle on what your job is?
Well, the question I have is, like, toward the third and fourth week, do we just submit that stuff to our team leader then?
You will want to. Your team leader is Adam Bricks, by the way, Paul.
Yeah.
And you're going to want to get with him real quick and find out each team you're going to find. That's a really good question. Each team is going to do stuff a little bit different. Some of the teams will use the team forums, because it's there and it's available. I think I've got one team this quarter already that's looking at just forming a Facebook chat group. I probably have a couple teams this quarter who will use SkyDrive and which is the new version of Google Docs, and they'll use Google Meet and that sort of thing. This particular software that we're on right now is GoToMeeting. You can actually get a 30-day free trial of this. So if you start in about the middle of week 7, it gets you through to the end of the quarter. I don't care how you do it. Each team is going to want to do it a little different. Some teams like to email. Some teams like to upload things to the cloud. Some teams just want everything in their forum. So, Paul, the answer to your question is find out from your team leader how they want stuff. Whether they want it in the forum or whether they want it somewhere else. A lot of the teams I know are going to try to hold at least one live meeting each week because they're finding just like this, if you can get together even on Skype for 15 minutes, you can save a lot of time as opposed to trying to use the team forum. The team forum to me would probably be my last choice. Sometimes it's just what you're stuck with because you have people that don't know how to use Skype and they don't know how to use Google and that kind of thing. But by and large, and it works just fine. I think last quarter I had one team that used nothing but the forum and did a fabulous job with it. They just have to remind everyone on their team that they need to check the forum every day. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. To be a successful team, you have to have participants pretty much on a real steady basis. If you end up with people that are just checking in their online class one day a week, they're not going to be much use to you on a team at all, and they will end up most likely not doing very well on the team project. That answer your question, Paul?
Yes, it does, Tom.
All right. Other questions, Scott or Christina?
I think I pretty much understand the how to be a team member part. I just need to actually start doing it.
Well, but I'll tell you what, you're a leg up because you will have actually gotten to listen to this thing live, and if there's one thing you know about YouTube and any of the other things, it's not quite as good as live because there's going to be someone out there that's going to watch this YouTube in a day or two and go, well, I just don't get it. And then they're going to send me emails, and they'll have to wait for me to get back on my emails. And, so this is probably helpful. But I have to tell you, Scott, I think you are in pretty good shape because from what I've seen, you've got some pretty active people on your team. As a matter of fact, you've got some very active people on your team. And I'm not really anticipating too much problem with your team at all. Just find out how you all are going to get together on a regular basis, and you should be good. All right. Anything else? I've kind of beat up the team project, and we've got a few minutes here if we need it. Questions on anything else? Questions on anything in the course? Questions on anything about Rasmussen in general? Questions on how much longer it's going to stay warm?
Well,
All right. Everyone's good? Well, if there aren't any questions, I don't need to fill an hour with this, so I'm more than happy if you guys are good. And if anyone, if you have questions, I do realize that it's also sometimes people don't like to ask questions in public. I'll be online for a while yet tonight. If something sticks on you, how much? There's the question. How much are we going to get docked if our paper is not the body length of 5 to 8 pages? You talking about the individual paper, Christina, or are you talking about the team paper? Individual paper? it isn't going to be so much the length that I look at as it's going to be the sources that you've used. So if you have 6 outside sources plus an interview, and if you've managed to load the paper with, you know, some of the things that I've suggested in the rough draft reviews, you know, a good opening paragraph or two with a strong thesis, some definitions of ethics and corporate social responsibility, a lot of examples of behaviors, and a strong 1 or 2 closing paragraphs of conclusion. I guess what I'm saying, Christine, is at the end of the day, the length has never been a problem for me. If you're having a hard time coming up with 5 pages, I would have to tell you that you're missing something in the body. It isn't so much the length as somewhere either you needed another resource or you need some more examples of behaviors. So the other thing I should probably ask Christina, APA is double space. Are you double space or single space? I'll tell you what I would do. Take that paper you got, shoot it off to a writing lab. There's an online writing lab or a campus writing lab. Tell them you need this in APA format. I think you're going to be surprised. You are probably well beyond the 5 to 8 page minimum. Yeah. If you're under 5 pages single spaced, I wouldn't worry about it. I think you're going to be fine. Wow, and see, I've been doing this a long time when I can ask a question like that. That's scary. Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions? Anything else that you don't mind asking me in public? Otherwise, we will just go from here. Scott's good. Paul, you're good?
Yep, I'm good. I'm going to sign off.
All right. Stephanie, you're good?
Yep, thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you showing up. I will log this up. Like I say, I will stay logged on for a little while longer, and